Welcome to Beyond the Walls, a podcast where faith doesn't stop on Sunday morning. Together, we'll explore what it looks like to take your faith to where you live, where you work, and where you do everyday life. I'm Jared Kendall, joined by Cameron Jinks and Jordan Sheehy. Come with us as we discuss what it looks like to have real faith beyond the walls.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy, Jordan.
This is Cameron.
And this is Jared. Man, it's good to be together today. I'm excited about this podcast of Beyond the Walls. We're going to be talking about next gen ministry here at First Baptist. And I'm so excited that we have Carla and Jordan and Cameron here to talk through those things with us today. So, hey guys, I just want you to kind of introduce yourself, kind of tell us how long you've been at First Baptist and maybe what your role is here, so that everybody kind of gets to know you. So, Carla, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I am Carla Sponigal, and we first came to the church in the fall of '95.
I was negative 3 years old.
Yeah,
I was like, isn't there a song about that? The fall.
I don't think so.
No.
coming from small church, small town, and we lived in town, and we wanted to go to church where our kids were going to school. So that's what brought us here initially. And we came from a season where we did a lot in our small church, and we thought we were going to come and sit for a while, but that didn't last long. God nudged me into, at first, middle school, Sunday school, but it didn't take long until I really felt called to children's ministry. So 22 years I've been at it, and where I am right now for 22 years.
Awesome.
Longevity, I love it.
Yeah, and when I think God's done with me, I'm not. So. It's a position that you definitely, if you have to feel called to do, and
I did it for a month. It was miserable.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
It's not for everybody.
It was great. I'm just joking.
It is not for everybody, and I can't say I do what I do without my husband Terry. He is right there with me to help with everything that goes on with children's ministry. So, yeah.
Awesome. Jordan.
Yeah. So I grew up in Missouri, and spent my entire life there until I moved to college.
You came to the promised land.
Yeah, the promised land. Went to Oklahoma Baptist University. They took all my money. While I was there, I found Kavehi, my wife. We dated for a year and a half, got married our senior year of college. And as that season kind of wrapped up, we were in the middle of COVID and really just trying to figure out what the Lord had for us next. Felt called to student ministry when I was in 7th grade. And so that was always the plan. And so we just started walking through open doors and avenues and trying to figure out where the Lord was calling us. And we got in this really weird spot where when we were interviewing with churches, there was 3 of them that were all like, "You're our guy. God has told us." And I'm like, God can't tell you that we're going 3 different ways. So I don't know what that means. And so we just waited and really waited for the Lord to close doors. And as he closed doors, Miami just became more and more clear that's where the Lord had us. What's funny is before we officially took the job here, we got kicked out of our apartment because our lease came up. And so I had to move all my stuff somewhere. And me and Kavehi had a lot of peace here. We just didn't know where the church was at with us yet. And so we moved all of our stuff into a storage unit here in Miami. And we waited a month and a half until Miami finally called back and said, "Hey, come for your interview." And so that's what we did. And we've been here now for 6 years and hopefully for another 60. So just loving it.
Man, Cam.
Yeah, Miami is hometown for me. So if you know me, my family's been here for, I moved here when I was in 3rd grade. My dad was a pastor at another church in town that's now kind of shut its doors. My dad's moved off to pastor another church in Springfield, Missouri. But in that time, the Lord was really working on me through music and leading worship. Kind of ran away from that for a little while and then just fully got into ministry and serving right when I graduated high school. Was at NEO for a short time, moved to Kansas City for a short time to go to school and hated it. And then I traveled in a band. And that's really where that worship calling really came to life, and then the Lord led me back to Miami, and I have no idea why. And to this day, it's just so random how it all worked out. But timing-wise, the Lord is good and the Lord is faithful. But in that time, when I first got hired on here, and that was 2021, it was just worship. Nothing else. But for some reason, the Lord over that next year or two kind of put a heart or put it on my heart, like college students and college ministry. And I was like, I've done student ministry before. I was like, I think I could do college ministry. I love college students. And started slowly doing that. And then over the last 3 years, we've really seen that ministry kind of that need grow. And has seen that ministry grow in the last 2 or 3 years. And so this past year in January, the role officially kind of changed to worship and college pastor here at FBC. And so, yeah, just kind of a big roundabout story of getting there.
Man, I'm so glad I get to serve alongside you guys. Thankful for each of you guys and what y'all do. And so, Next Gen ministry is so important for the church. There's some churches that are abandoning that today, and I don't think that's the right move by any stretch of the imagination. I think we need to lean into that Next Gen ministry. Psalm 145 says, "One generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts." And so I think that's what Next Gen ministry is about, is that progression of sharing what God has done and leading and teaching the next generation how to fall more in love with the Lord and not be the church of tomorrow, but be the church of today and not wait it out. And so each of you guys do a great job with that. So I just kind of want to hear from each of you guys. I think it'd be significant for our listeners to hear from you guys about how you all are leading the next generation to be light outside the walls of First Baptist Church. So Carla, let's start with you and just kind of talk through that, what that looks like for children's ministry.
Yeah, in the time I've been in ministry, in children's ministry, it has progressed a lot. It went from just, kids sitting around a table, hearing a lesson, to realizing kids can do more than that. And, they can grow in the Lord just like, adults can. And they need to. Right. They need to be fed. They need to be encouraged. And so it's yes, obviously, teaching those basic, all of the lessons that we learn from the Bible, but it's also being light outside here and letting your face show outside here. Teaching them, you're going to be challenged at school, with your teachers. You're going to be challenged by friends that you're hanging around. And so they need to know it's not just an hour on Sunday morning. It's not just an hour on Wednesday night. Right. It's what they do when they're outside of here. And we've seen some awesome things come from that, too, over the last couple of years. Well, over the last many years. But, from a kid inviting friends on his football team, and our children's ministry on Wednesday nights, Elevate, it grew rapidly because of that, because of kids inviting friends to church. And then parents also have to buy into that and bring some of those kids.
Yeah, come on.
It's a lot, and it's needed. And those kids, when they've got their friends here, they feel a little more connected, and they feel safe and secure. And so I think it's really important for kids to be taught and to be encouraged to live life outside of the church. And that can look very different. But football team, that whole football team was here practically. Yeah. And so that was awesome. That was an awesome time.
Yeah. I think you said you started here in 1995?
95. The fall of 95 is when we first started coming. Me and my husband, we married young, and we'll celebrate 40 years next June.
Shout out to Terry.
Yeah, next June.
Terrell. You've never seen his body lifting pictures. They're really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Terry, you might want to bring those to church next time. But my point in that was, I bet some things, you can't do ministry like you did in 1995. Mm-hmm. You've had to restructure some things this year as far as inside the walls of the children's ministry, the 918 kids ministry, to be more fruitful outside the walls, essentially. Would you just share a little bit about that, how you've added worship on Wednesday nights and some of that stuff to kind of better equip our children to know more than just the easy children's Bible stories?
Yeah. I think it took our church time over the last 25 years to kind of realize that what children's ministry could be. And so it's really over the last maybe 5 years or so, we've done a lot of things just to be safe, for your kids to be safe while they're here. So it's easy to find the children's ministry area. And worship is a big part of all of our lives as believers. And so come watch kids worship. You're going to jump around. You're going to get a little loud, but it's awesome. And we have a lady, Sarah, who's on the adult worship team, and she has a heart for teaching kids worship. And so we started that on the first Wednesday of every month. We have worship night. And instead of going through their other rotations, they have worship for 30 minutes. And they love it. And kids, I have heard my own grandkids, they're in children's ministry here. And I hear it from them all the time. They are singing these songs. They are praising the Lord. And it's getting in their minds and it's on their hearts. And they're singing it in the car. They're singing it with groups at school at recess. So that is really awesome. It's kids ministry. We want it to model what it looks like in the sanctuary. We want that transition when they do transition out of kids ministry. We don't want it to be such a shock to their system that they don't want to come. And so we are doing a lot of things like that. Worship on Sunday mornings. We start children's church with worship for about 10 minutes. And so that's modeling what is going on in the worship center with the adults.
Yeah, I think our desire here at First Baptist is to create a culture. It's not just programming. It's not just what happens inside the walls, but it's truly to create a culture. What's in your heart comes out of your mouth, and so even through worship songs, things like that. I know sometimes in the old days, I'm dating myself here, guys, but in the old days, VBS would come along and you would sing the VBS songs over and over and over and again, and parents would get tired of it. But that's what the way we were putting in their heart for a week, and now they're getting that worship, they're getting the word every single week, and so hopefully they're taking it home. We know they're taking it to school. They're taking it everywhere they are, on the ball fields and every place like that. And I think that's very significant, not just in our teenagers and our college students and our adults, but even in our children's ministry. You know, the Bible says, come like a child. And so I think that's really significant. So I think that's really cool. Go ahead, Jordan.
One of the coolest things that I feel like we continue to hear from Carla's ministry is parents are now getting to have conversations with their children at home about what it means to follow the Lord, which has opened up all kinds of avenues for Carla and getting to help these parents learn how they can help raise up their child. So we'd love to hear a little bit about that as well, Carla.
Yeah. I think it's important for the parents to be the main spiritual leaders for their kids. And so I just want to come alongside them with that. We all do here. And so I've had one-on-one conversations with parents so they feel equipped to be able to have conversations with their kids to when they're asking questions and such. So I think it's really important that those doors are just open and parents don't just come in and shuffle their kids back to kids ministry and go home and they don't talk about spiritual things anytime through the week. So we will have training coming up where parents feel confident in sharing the gospel, walking through their kids because that is an awesome time in anybody's life. And the parent should be central, leading their child through that. So I am happy to come alongside and help however I can. But I think it's really important for the parents to be central in leading their kids spiritually.
That's good. I think that what she's saying there, what I hear is, for a long time, I don't feel like a lot of churches focused on children or students or college age even. And as we've continued to develop as a church, that's become a heavier focus for us. But what we don't want that to be is parents think that like we'll do the job. It's like we're supplementing, we're coming beside, we are partnering with you. And so we want to help train you, be the parent who's discipling at home and raising up your child. We get to play a part of that, but really the primary disciple maker are the parents in the household, and that's exactly what we want to do.
Absolutely. I think, the culture just in our church has really changed in the last just couple of years. And so I think parents and legacy, what leaders in our church, they see the change that what kids ministry can be and can be so much more than old school, how we used to do things. And so I think parents and church just coming around and supporting each other is great.
Well, let's kind of transition now into our teenagers and our 918 students. You've already heard a little bit from Jordan, I think, in this and how he's equipping people. But Jordan, kind of share a little bit more about your teenagers and how you're equipping them and their parents.
Yeah. So from 6 years ago to now, like our ministry has radically shifted in who we are as an identity, and really like just so much about what we do. We walked in, and that first 2 months, I think we ran 12 kids, which was great. And those faithful 12 pretty much saw us all the way through. But like that faithful 12 has grown into 100. And so it's like our ministry is just different now, and we have to do things differently than we once did. And so this last 2 years or so, it's just been restructuring and figuring out how do we develop these students in the same format that we were developing them when there was only 12 of them, but now there's 100 of them, and creating that space for that. And so part of that is, like getting to equip parents, because reminding ourselves that we aren't the primary disciple maker, they are. And so one of my big passions this year was just kind of throwing it out there, seeing what it's like, resource-wise, to put in front of parents, hey, I want to get you back to the dinner table. One, because statistically speaking, so many families aren't at the dinner table anymore. And I feel like when I was growing up, some of the most essential conversations I had with my parents were around a table during a meal. And our schedules have just gotten busier and busier, and you're running from one sports event to the next sports event to the next play to the next band event. And it's like, there's rarely a time when we just sit down and we're just us. And then in those moments is where you get to have great conversation, where you could very easily begin to point your child to the Lord. And so we started something this year, put it out in January, and it's just called Dinner Table Theology. We post it once a month. And it's just a resource to help you have conversations with your students, your children at your table. I've tried to gear it a little more open towards any age group. This last month was probably a little more heavier on the older age group, just because it was dealing with anxiety and fears and depressions. But I think those are still conversations that children need to have, just maybe filtered out differently. But just kind of getting those in front of their parents. And that, again, probably won't be an all-encompassing resource, because it's like I give it to you once a month, and hopefully you're sitting at a table more than once a month. But hopefully that's creating a culture in your household that open conversations happening, and dinners happening together still. And so
those moments are really significant in families. Kind of thinking through just different moments that you're encouraging your students to have. You have a goal this year set up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we got a big goal. It's a God-sized goal. We're a little behind, but it's all right. Man, I just felt very clearly as we jumped into this year of 2026, the Lord just kind of pressed on my heart to really challenge these students to, as we talk about this every week, taking our faith beyond the walls, taking our faith beyond Wednesday and Sunday, and living it out in the hallways of our school. And I don't think it's anything we haven't been preaching. I just wanted to make it more tangible for them. And I was reminded of Joshua whenever they crossed over the Jordan and they build the 12 pillars and they look back on it. And every time they'd walk past those pillars, they would get to remind their children, hey, this was a moment when the Lord showed up. And so I just felt impressed by the Lord, like, hey, we're going to do something crazy this year. And I want to create a space, an atmosphere where students could have 918 spiritual moments with the Lord this year. And so that can happen in multiple different facets. That could be an individual comes to our youth group for the very first time. And if they do, what we have in the youth building is we have a container that holds 918 ping pong balls. And right now it's about 120 ping pong balls. But a purple ping pong ball is representative of a first-time guest. You've invited someone, it's their first time here, we drop that in. We have orange ping pong balls, and those orange ping pong balls are salvation moments when people give their life to the Lord. We've already got to put, I believe, 7 of those in our container this year. We have blue ping pong balls, which represent baptism. We have multiple of those in that container as well. And then we have green ping pong balls, and green ping pong balls are your opportunities where you've gotten to go outside of a Wednesday and a Sunday, and you've gotten to share your testimony or share the gospel with someone on a one-on-one conversation, or even from a stage or a platform. And man, we have so many of those. It's incredible to see that these students are actually taking their faith beyond the walls. They're actually sitting down and having hard conversations with their friends. They have friends who are questioning their own faith. Like they're having to do apologetics in the middle of a classroom right now because they've got friends who are just wrestling and have a lot of questions. And they're seeing these things on TikTok and on Instagram and on YouTube. And so my students are having to come to real answers and figure this out for themselves. And they're coming to me and asking hard questions to me, and we're working them out together. And it's just awesome to see that those conversations are getting pushed in a classroom, getting pushed at home, getting pushed just naturally out of the overflow of their life. And then finally, we have white ping pong balls. And white ping pong balls are answered prayers throughout the year. And we have 7 of those actually right now that they've been praying about the Lord showing up in their life in a certain way, and the Lord showed up and spoken to them and has answered that prayer. And so I don't know the exact number. I think we're around 120, 130 ping pong balls currently that are in there. Obviously, that's far from our 918 goal, but it just continues to remind me, man, like I think that's even better than we would have done without a goal. And we're getting to watch students really walk in boldness and obedience. One thing I keep telling our students is obedience spurs on obedience. As we get to see our friends walk in obedience, it only challenges us to also walk in obedience.
Right.
And so this isn't like a, hey, look at me and look at the ping pong ball I'm dropping in. It's look at the Lord and look what he's doing through his church and look how we could be used right here, right now. And these are pillars of faith that we're building that we can look back on and say, that's a moment in which I saw the Lord work, and I want to continue to work for him to build his kingdom.
Yeah. You're not just equipping them here inside the walls of our church, though. You're going to the schools and equipping them there through FCA and just take a moment and share a little bit about what you call the 116 boys as well.
Yeah. So FCA, first and foremost, we get to partner up with all the churches in town. And so we've got student pastors from First Christian, First Assembly, from here, from Grace Church, that all get to join with us every single Wednesday at noon during their lunch hour, and we meet with students and we teach just like we normally would on a Wednesday, but just looks slightly different structured. And it's super cool to see the youth groups get to mesh and lay over together and remind them that they're one church, that they're not in this alone. Even though that we have multiple students who come with us on Wednesday, it's like to see that the picture's even bigger than just the students that sit in our 918 building on Wednesday night. It's like the church is the church as a whole, and we're universal. And so I think that plays a huge role in what the Lord's doing right now in our school system. And it's not just happening in Miami. We're seeing that happen in Fairland. We're seeing that happen in Commerce. We're seeing that expand outside of us, which is super cool. But also this last year and a half, I started intentionally meeting with 5 boys last year, a year and a half ago. And it kind of goes back to where the Lord's just kind of been challenging me, like, how do I do ministry in a similar facet that we did it when there was 12 students, but realizing that we're no longer a student ministry of 12 students. And man, I was just reminded, like, disciples make disciples who make disciples. Like, multiplication is essential. And so I want to equip students to know how they can make disciples for themselves. I think they play a role in that. Like, it's not up to a pastor. It's not up to someone who's paid by a church to make disciples. It's up to the body of Christ. And so for about a year, I sat down with 5 high school boys during their lunch hour on Tuesday in room 116. Thank you, Mrs. Harrison, Jordan Harrison, for letting us do that. And we taught them how to read their Bible. And that's all we did. We just gathered together every week and read our Bible together. We used the SOAP method and a little bit of other things, some tools such as Bible Hub and stuff like that to get some definition stuff going on. And we just did that for a year. And as we were doing that, I kept prepping them and telling them, like, this is going to be bigger than us. Like, we're doing this to equip ourselves to know how to read God's word so we could teach other people how to read God's word. And then this last school year, I challenged them, hey, you're all going to go grab one friend of yours. And you're going to take that one friend and bring them to this exact same classroom. And during lunch, I'm going to kind of step back, and you're going to sit down with that one. You're going to teach them how to read their Bible. And so that's what we've been doing for about the last 6 months is they've all grabbed one friend. And so we went from 5 to 10 now. And they're pouring into that one friend and teaching them how to read their Bible, which is just so cool to see and watch play out. And, man, we've seen the fruits of that beyond just that classroom even coming into our student ministry. And the amount of students who have come to be a part of our student ministry just because of the obedience of 5, 10 boys on a Tuesday lunch hour is significant, and it's playing a huge role in what's going on right now in our student ministry. And so excited to see where that goes in the future. Even we're about to graduate 4 of those 10 boys just because they're seniors, but we're still a wide open door to know what's next and who's coming into that sphere. And it's even kind of figuring out how do we open the circle up more without diluting what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And so still kind of we're flying a plane and building it at the same time, but it's exciting.
That's cool. That's really cool. And again, I think we're just creating a pipeline from our children's ministry into our student ministry on into our college ministry. And so we just turn over here to Cam now and just talk through a little bit about what college ministry looks like. I know a lot of your stuff is not on Sunday morning or actually during worship service time here, but just kind of talk about how you're equipping college students and what that looks like as far as ministry.
Yeah, I think it's definitely taken a lot of different shapes over the last 3 or 4 years since we've been doing it. It first started out like real small group, and we were doing it like on and off. I think we started like on Wednesday nights after church. It was like at 8 p.m. and
I remember that.
Miserable. It was horrible. And then we were at a season for like a year where we just met at Pastor Jared's house every Thursday night.
We missed them, by the way.
And it was a blast. and none of those college students are here anymore, which is kind of sad, but they like, Jared would cook for us, and they would host us in their home, and I think that was a huge thing for them to see, like the importance of like faith outside of a church. And it's like it happens in the home. There's a huge part of that, and we'll get there in a second. But it's taken shape, and as we continue to grow, it's like, okay, you can't really do that all the time, every time. But the past 2 years, we've been meeting on Thursday nights at 6:00, and that's just a huge trying to find a time where all college students are not doing anything on a night of the week is impossible. So it's really frustrating. You might have a random basketball game or a random, event that's being done on campus. It's just the life you get into with, college ministry. It's that just life doesn't slow down as you keep progressing. And so, Wednesday nights are easy because it's just set aside, and it's like everyone knows when Wednesday's church night. And so we shifted to Thursday night and saw a lot of retention there and people loving that. But I think this past year was the best year, I think, in incorporating a lot of different facets of what I think college students really long for in this season of life. Obviously, you have people graduating, they're moving out on their own. They miss a lot of the home aspects. So we incorporate those host homes still. So my goal is once a month, we'll go to a different church member's home, within our church, and they'll provide a meal and a space. And we've done, a lot. I mean, Jared and even Carla, you hosted them.
Yeah, it's
2
great.
months ago.
Yeah, we loved it.
It's just, it is so much more of a family thing, and we push all the time, like how important, godly community is. And I think a big part of that is seeing that outside of just, the student building and outside the church building. And then it also adds an avenue for our church to see the impact that they can have on young people, and being able to pour into them and love on them. And so, and we'll hopefully be able to continue that in the summer with just like, you have access to pools now. So it's just a bunch of pool parties. And
so if you have a pool,
please hit me up. But
if you have a pool, we know a pool guy also.
oh yeah, that's true. So again, it's taken on a lot of different forms, and another big thing that they really, really love is worship. And so, which is good for me because I'm like, hey, I love worship too. So, we do, those nights look like if there's 4 nights or 4 weeks in a month, traditionally it's like the first one is a host home somewhere. Third week is usually more of a Bible study. And we actually are gifted now where we have enough college students who love music and worship as well that we have a full student team. And so,
cool.
Giving them an avenue to use their giftings and serve the Lord in that area. And so they'll lead worship, and they'll come up and do I'll either teach, split up into groups. We'll do Bible study. And then the last week of the month will be a worship night where we'll get to work. My team will worship or lead. They get to just be a part of it, And I think the culture that we've built through doing all those things is that you have this past year, have a lot of college students who have truly bought into their faith.
Yeah.
And I think that that's huge. I'm speaking even into my time, as a college student and getting out of my even though I didn't leave home for a minute, like getting out of my parents' house, like my dad's a pastor. And so a lot of my faith was built on what my parents did. And we sit here and talk about it, how important that is. Like, I am so thankful that I was raised up in a Christian home, but it's like, there is a point where you leave and your faith cannot be your parents' faith anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what does that look like to really dive into what I know I believe, and how I'm pushing myself to become a Christian, and a follower and disciple of Christ. And so this past year, we have been doing a kind of a series called Do Hard Things. And we just look at like how, I mean, very face value, it's like being a Christian is very hard, and I think it's supposed to be, and really challenging them to walk in obedience when obedience is hard.
Yeah.
Challenging them to have those hard conversations. You know, I've got one of our boys who is from OKC, had no, someone just randomly was like, hey, you're going to Miami? I know the student pastor there. Jordan gave me his number. We connected. And the first Sunday he showed up in the summer because he plays football, like I grabbed him and I was like, you're not going anywhere. Like we're hanging out. He knows who he is. I'm not going to say his name, but I hope I don't ruin too many things. But there was the moment where there's 2 months in, he came up to me and goes, I think I'm leaving. This isn't fulfilling to me. I'm not playing. This is not panning out in my plans and all this stuff. And I told him, I'm like, I'm not going to be the voice of the Lord for you. But I was like, man, seek the Lord and pray about it. Like, I'll be praying for you and all the stuff. About 3 months later, he's like, okay, I'm going to stay to the end of the year. Okay, cool. I'll transfer out at December. Then he's like, well, I'm coming back in the fall. And now he's here for another full year. He's actually interning with us this summer and serving the church and student ministry this summer. And you talk to him.
Woot woot.
Yeah, woot woot. If you talk to him and ask him, it's like, why are you staying? And his number one thing is, he's like, I'm being pushed in my faith here, and I'm growing as a human. And,
That's so good.
In my faith. It's like, why would I not want to stay here where that community is pushing me? And I think that's huge. And I think that's what I think they look for and long for when they don't even really know it. And so it's just providing a space for them to encounter that through host homes and through the church, and knowing that they are part of the body equally as much as an adult, encountering the Lord in worship and through community and prayer over one another. And just being pushed in the faith and owning that for yourself. So again, it takes a lot of vision, and kind of summing up a lot of different things going on here. But
yeah, you even push them to lead out in things. You've got a leadership team essentially for the college ministry now, and take just a moment and kind of share a little bit about that and how significant that's going to be even in the coming years for our 918 college ministry.
Yeah, and I think that's a very new thing, just over the past couple months of like, okay, it's a sustaining ministry. We're all grown adults, like we're all childish, obviously, but it's like they're grown adults. They can take ownership and stuff. And so it's like, why not, if they have been called as a leader and have been gifted these things, like why not entrust them to lead in different ways? And so there's a group of 6 of our college students who like I've entrusted to lead out in some things, and we've talked about like, hey, when you're here, it's like, hey, we can play Jungle Pong, that's great, but it's like, if there's a new person who walks in the door, like your job is you're gonna go grab that person, you're gonna talk to them, and you're gonna do whatever. Something as meaningful as that to one of our girls, it's like, hey, you are in charge of taking pictures, because I am horrible at that. So it's like you go and take pictures and stuff, and just have that resource. And I think setting that up now, even going further into this next semester, having that leadership, it's like it's a ministry that continues to pour into itself, and having those opportunities and those avenues of leadership where, say, they leave and transfer to another school, or they, age out or whatever, like that avenue is already created to where like, hey, I want to lead and I want to help serve and I want to lead out in this. And so I think we've seen a little glimpse of it, since it's just being added, but even going forward, like I think it's huge to, again, they are a part of the body, and each body has a function, and giving them an avenue to use that. So
That's so good. All these obviously fit together, and we could spend another 3 hours talking through each of the generational ministries that we have here. But we're kind of getting ready to get into a busy time of the year for especially our 918 kids and our 918 student ministry. Not that college gets to take a break, but
I'm taking a break, man.
but let's just pretend we're on an elevator. We got 30 seconds a piece here. Carla, share with us a little bit about what you got coming up this summer for 918 kids.
Yeah. And before I share those, I just want to say and we've alluded to that, but kids ministry used to be kind of separate. And I used to hated to give my kids to the youth ministry, because they're my kids, and there was kind of a disconnect there. But everyone around this table is involved with kids ministry, is involved with VBS and everything, and so that makes the transition up to each group so much easier on the kids and on me too. But June 5th, we've got Kids Camp. That is for kids who have completed kindergarten through third grade, a great one-day camp at GLBA. June the 16th through the 19th, we've got Children's Camp. That is for kids who have completed third through the sixth grades at GLBA. Great first overnight camp, 4 days, 3 nights for those kids.
Sounds like a luxurious cruise. 4 days, 3 nights.
Oh, I don't know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of, but it's worth it. And kids, it's awesome to see them really seeking the Lord. That age group at Children's Camp. There's always so much that comes out of that camp that we can celebrate as a church later on. Yeah. And then in July, we've got VBS. That is July 19th through 23rd. And we want the community to come. So send your kids preschool through completed sixth grade. It's a great, super fun week. Everyone around here, they're going to dress up probably and be on stage and act goofy, and kids love it. So
it's Jordan's life right there.
Yeah.
That's my everyday.
Dressing up and acting goofy.
They still talk about, I don't remember what you all's names were last year, but they still talk about you guys. Daryl, yeah.
I was Dusty.
Dusty, yeah. So they get here and they have a lot of fun and they hear the word of God. So yeah.
Awesome. Jordan, same thing. We're on elevator, man. You've got 30 seconds to tell me what's going on in 918 student ministry for the next couple of months.
In June, we've got Super Summer coming up, which is our leadership camp. We're going to bring 20 students with us this year, which is the largest group we've taken since I've been here, of just students we'd consider to be leaders in our student ministry. It's a camp that's meant to help develop them to only become better leaders and to know how to live out their faith on Wednesday night and help us do what we're doing, work alongside us in that ministry. So that's June 8th through 13th. And then into July, we move July to 6th through 11th. We go to Falls Creek, which is our camp that we invite everyone to. Everyone that between finishing 7th grade through 12th grade, we want to come with us to Falls Creek, where we'll get to spend that whole weekend, getting to walk them through Hebrews 11. The Hall of Faith is really what it is. It's all about the greats. And so super cool idea. Got a baseball theme running with it. It's going to be really great. So you're going to want to be a part of that. And then the week after VBS, we have what we call Crazy Summer Nights. In the past, we've always started our summer with Crazy Summer Nights kind of to push everything of what's coming. School gets out so late these days that it's just not going to work in our schedule that way. So we're going to use it as our promotion back to school this year.
It's cool.
And get them excited about what the Lord has for them, prepared for this next school year. And so Crazy Summer Nights is just 4 nights of, I guess what you would consider it is VBS for middle school and high schoolers. Lots of games, speakers, worship, great time. And so make sure your students get involved in those this summer.
That's also when new 7th graders get to go to youth.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big kickoff for them.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Cam, 918 College, sure. Do you have anything, or is this crickets?
It's not crickets for sure. We obviously take a break of our weekly meetings through the summer. So many of our college students move home, but we do a lot of just like hang out. I know there's a group of them that just watched a movie last night, and
that's cool.
and so it's a little bit more organic, playing pickleball, having a cookout, stuff like that. But I do want to push every Sunday morning at 9:15. We probably start about 9:30 because, just the way it rolls. But we take that time to do very in-depth Bible study, and teaching each other, teaching them how to study the Bible for themselves. Kind of like what Jordan was saying. Like, we can teach you, we can put you in all the positions to do it, but if you can't take that and own it for yourself and walk out the doors with it, Bible said you're going to be a man who hears the word and doesn't do it and forgets what he looks like. And so we take that time every Sunday morning before service to do that. And so that's just a plug if you are looking for that godly community to continue. That's an easy place for that, and all the things. But we'll start up our weekly stuff back when school comes back in session. I think August 20th will be our first one back. So
Awesome. Well, I'm reminded again of another passage of scripture. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12 says, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech and conduct and love and faith and in purity." And I think through our Next Gen Ministries that is our desire. And we see this every day. I believe there's revival going on in the 918.
Yeah.
That's not manipulated. That's not because a church is having a revival service, but we see God infiltrating our Next Gen Ministries outside the walls of the church, and we're seeing the fruit of that inside the walls of the church. And they're setting those examples for us every single day, and that's attributed to you guys and the work that you guys are doing. I'm excited about that. If you've heard something today that, man, you want to be involved in that, or you need a resource as a parent, please holler at us. We would love to resource you. You've heard all of these guys say that we are here to be a resource for parents and to help you help your children and students grow in their faith. We are not the main thing, and so we want to be that resource for you guys as we seek here at First Baptist Church, not just for our adults, but for every generation. We seek to help them to love God, love people, and make disciples.
See y'all.
See ya.